Hello everyone, and welcome to Dream Team. I'm Alice Langlois.
And I'm Trent Lenkarski.
And this is the baby episode.
Yeah!
We're talking about babies.
Oh, there's so many babies here. Oh, no.
What are all these babies doing in the studio? We're talking about baby dreams, we're talking about first dreams, early dreams.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty excited.
I am too, yeah.
We got a lot of really cool submissions.
Yes.
Do you want to share any of your baby dreams to get us started?
Yeah, sure. I got a couple. They're all a little spooky, which I was just talking to Alice about before the show.
Yeah, spoiler alert, a lot of baby dreams are on the spooky side, but I sprinkled in a few nice ones, so we can keep things light.
Good. I'm glad, because mine are not nice. Or they're all scary.
Being a baby is scary.
Yeah, definitely. You don't know what's going on. But yeah, so my first one is pretty much the first dream that I remember having, and it's one of my earliest memories that I have. Again, like most of my dreams on the show, it was very short, but all I remember is it was kind of like a first person perspective, and it was me laying in my bed, and I kind of like looked over I was like laying like on my left side, and I just saw like a hand like raise up, like almost like coming out from like under the bed or next to the bed. And it just kind of, yeah, it just got like really like hairy and kind of looked like a weird like dog face. And then I woke up and like ran upstairs to my mom.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Pretty spooky.
That is very spooky.
Yeah, that's one of my first dreams I remember. Yeah. And it was like at night. It was just very like dimly lit. So I hope it wasn't real.
I think you will find that dream is very similar to one of the ones I will share.
Oh, okay. Cool.
This is the first dream I remember having, I think. The two that I have, I kind of are contested in my mind together as possibly the first dream I remember having, but this one was definitely the first nightmare. I was also lying in my bed that night. I was looking up at the ceiling, and when I looked up, the ceiling was covered in all these little tiny hanging sacks. I wasn't sure what they were at first.
Ooh. And
then, at least in my head, I remember thinking, why are there breadcrumbs all over the ceiling? It's kind of what it looked like. But they were hanging a little bit and like swaying slightly. And then my eyes drifted over to where the ceiling fan usually was, right over my bed. And instead of a ceiling fan, it was a giant spider.
No.
It was wider than my bed and almost as long. And I laid there frozen, and then it fell into my bed. And I woke up. And I was so little, it was just because it was my first sort of like very realistic dream in terms of like the setting. I was fairly sure there was an actual spider in my bed because I was a child. So I immediately screamed, run out of my room. I went to my parents' room and I said, there's a spider in my bed, there's a spider in my bed. And my parents took me seriously because, I mean, I grew up in the middle of the woods. Like, there's stuff in our house all the time. Yeah, like having a spider in your bed is not a weird thought.
Yeah.
And so my parents got up and they started taking off the covers, taking off the sheets, looking for it, and I was like crying. And then as I saw them taking off the sheets and I was waking up more, it kind of occurred to me that spider was huge and that wouldn't have made sense, and I started to realize that it was a dream. And I remember turning to my mom as my dad was taking apart the bed and being like, I think I might have been just a dream. But it was so scary because I didn't know at first. It was very scary.
That's funny.
But it was the same thing. I was like, I was in my bed, something scary happened. I gotta go tell my mom and dad.
Oops, it was actually a dream. Sorry.
But I realized
Yeah.
afterwards that those things on the ceiling were all the like wrapped up bugs from its web hanging from the ceiling.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha. I thought
nasty.
they were gonna be like little spiders or something.
No, no, they were like all
When you,
these like dead little wrapped up cocoons of insects.
mm, gotcha.
Hmm.
Wow,
Yeah.
very scary.
Hmm.
And then I guess I'll do another one, and then you
Hmm.
have another one too, right?
Yeah.
Whoa. The other one I'm going to talk about is one that I've had, and it was kind of a reoccurring one. Like I've probably had the same kind of dream like two or three times.
Weird. So
Um,
is my next one.
oh, what the heck?
Yeah, I'm not
This
kidding.
is not planned. This is not planned, I swear.
The two types of childhood dreams are spooky or reoccurring.
Yes. Or spooky and reoccurring. So it's not it, I feel like I'm gonna try and over explain it, but in the simplest terms possible, just me in elementary school. So not a baby, but probably a little bit older for sure, for like 5 or 6. But just me like running through my school, getting chased by Barney, the big
Oh,
dinosaur guy. And it happened multiple times through my life that I've had these dreams.
oh wow.
Yeah. And I just remember the one from elementary school. It was just like, being like chased through like some of the classrooms and stuff, and then finally like escaping and being away. And I was kind of under a table, and I just remember, oddly similar to my dream last week with the curtain, but I just remember being like under the table and there being like a weird like lace kind of thing like hanging over the edge and like looking under the table, and I just see him like look down at me through the
Oh,
lace, and
that's
I was
so
like, oh,
scary.
yeah. And then yeah, I've definitely had that one two or three times since. Not in the last few years though, so I think I've outgrown my fear of Barney.
So that was gonna be my question. Were you actually like in the waking world? Were you actually scared of Barney like already?
No, not really.
Oh,
No.
weird. So it was
I
just
like
scary in the dream.
yeah, I would watch it a lot, as a kid, but I don't remember being particularly scared of him until after I had these dreams. And even
Good.
even then, I don't think I was never really scared of him. Like I just
Oh,
remember these dreams being really spooky.
yeah, that is very spooky.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think I feel like I had that dream also at like a friend's house. Like I was just being chased by Barney at a friend's house though.
So the
So that was,
location changed, but
yeah, the enemy did not change though.
a constant threat. Always gotta watch
Hmm.
out for Barney.
He could pop in my dreams whenever, so I got to be prepared.
Yeah. Yeah, that is spooky. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
My second one is also a recurring dream. I only had it twice. I know for a fact I only had it twice.
Okay.
Because I remember as a kid wanting to have this dream again and being
Hmm.
sad that I only had it twice.
Oh, interesting.
Because this was actually a cool dream. And it's very simple. Nothing really happened. It was almost like it could honestly just be an image, but um, it was a dream where I remember feeling so excited that I had it, and I was like, I gotta have this dream again. And I did once more, and then I've never had it since. And this was like a very long time ago. Um,
Mm.
but I was in my house and looking outside to the front yard. It was nighttime, or maybe like dawn or dusk. It was like dark out, but like everything was a little bit tinged in like purple and pink. And there was a huge, thick layer of snow on the ground. And for those of you who don't live in snowy climates, sometimes, and this is like one of my favorite things, one of my favorite kinds of snow. You'll get like really big piles of fluffy snow, and then at night, the temperature will get cold enough that the top layer will sort of like refreeze. So the top layer will be crunchy and shiny, but the underneath will be fluffy. And when the light hits it right at night or in the morning, it looks like sparkly almost because the top layer is like ice. and it was that kind of snow. So it was like these perfect like billowy snowdrifts, but shiny and sparkly on top, and like hints of pink and purple, and then just sort of illuminated by the porch lights on front of the house because it was nighttime. And so that would just look so magical. And then standing right in the middle of the yard was this like the most magnificent, beautiful unicorn, just like standing there looking at me. And I remember like looking out the window and just being like, oh, a unicorn. And I was obsessed with mythical creatures as a kid. I still am. I was just like, this is the most magical thing I've ever seen. And nothing happened. I didn't go outside. Not, like it didn't move. I just woke up. And I was so happy about it.
Whoa.
And I was like, I want to have this dream again so I can go see the unicorn. And I did one more time and it was exactly the same. We just looked out the window and saw it. And that was it. I've never had it again.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool.
It's a beautiful dream.
Yeah, just a singular little moment.
Mm. How old were you when you had that? Do you remember?
Little. I mean, I think in my head it was probably around the same time as I had the spider dream. Like,
Okay.
I know that my actually I'm not sure. I mean, I remember in the spider dream I was in my current childhood bedroom, which I shared with my sister, which meant she would have been born. I would have been at least 6 or 7 years old.
Okay.
So I'm imagining sometime around then.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna say from my first one, I think I must have been probably 2 or 3. Like I was very young because
Mm,
it was at the house the first house that I lived at, and I moved out of my family. We moved when I was 4, so I was
mm-hmm.
probably at least 2 or 3.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's so interesting. Yeah, I couldn't remember any dreams
Mm.
from my first house that I lived in because I also
Uh,
moved when I was 3 or 4 years old.
mm.
I can't think of any dreams that I had there.
Uh,
So I guess my memory doesn't go that far
uh. My memory goes further back than you.
back. Bonus
No.
points. No, I think it's really cool that some people can
Yeah.
remember like actual baby dreams.
Mm. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have for baby dreams.
Well, speaking of baby dreams, someone told me you have a dream fact today.
I have a dream fact today.
I am so excited to hear it.
So this whole thing, I just find it very interesting. Like when we start dreaming, like when at like what age do we start like having dreams? Because because I had the one that I had was I was pretty young. I was probably 2 or 3. So it's kind of like when do we like actually like start having them? So it's a little all over the place when I was trying to look it up, but it does seem like you can theoretically a baby can have a dream when it is still like in the womb, when it's like kind of towards the end of
No
its development.
way.
And
What?
yeah, because you're like sleeping so long, and they've measured like REM levels in unborn babies that are towards the end of the third trimester, and they have time to sleep, so they are sleeping and they're in REM for most of that time, for not most of it, but for a decent amount of that time. Um, but the thing is, it's like even though you can measure those waves, like what would the baby have to dream about being in
Yeah.
the womb? Because it's like the only outside stimulus you're getting really is like maybe a little bit of like dim light, and then some ambient noise of like the inside of your mom. So like you don't really have much experience to have a dream of, which I think is
Hmm.
so like interesting to think about.
That is so
um
fascinating.
yeah, and then after you're born, you spend most of your babyhood sleeping, so a lot of that is also in REM sleep. And yeah, you're able to dream, but again, it's like it's hard because when you're so young, you have no context for reality. So it's even if you're having dreams, it's like we don't really know what babies dream about. We can only assume it would be like, oh, like they have a dream that makes them upset, or oh, they're smiling in their dream, so they must be having something that's like a comforting dream. So
Hmm.
that's kind of my fact. I don't really have
That
too much on
no,
it
I mean that's
because
amazing. I don't know why, but I guess I kind of thought that like I would have assumed that like, yeah, there's like a certain point after you're born where like you're able to dream for some reason, like brain development wise, but they're just dreaming in the dreaming in the tummy right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. And I wonder if it's anything like when we were talking about animal dreams and how like animals with different sort of priority senses might have dreams that are more relevant to those senses, like having a dream that's more about smells and sounds and touch than like things you see. I
Right.
wonder if baby dreams are also more about like because I know it takes a little bit for babies to like see clearly
Yeah.
um, and hear clearly. So I wonder if like their dreams are like yeah, like those feelings. I also wonder now
Yeah.
like if they're dreaming in the womb, when they're out of the womb, do they have dreams about being in the womb for a little bit?
Oh,
Because
whoa.
that's an experience, right? That's a
I
memory,
guess so.
even though
Yeah.
the brain
Whoa.
doesn't really hold on to those memories for long.
I have no idea.
Like maybe they're having a happy dream about being all wrapped up in there, just like chilling.
Yeah. It's like, man, remember when it was really warm? No, it's not as warm.
Now I have to like breathe and stuff.
Mm.
So cool. Thank you for sharing that. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
of course. And then I have a little bit more on it. I didn't have enough time to do like a ton of research on it, but it just kind of like in the similar vein is like, we kind of talked about having, nightmares as a child. And it seems like a lot of like those early nightmares kind of occur between the ages of 3 and 6, is what I read on a few websites. And that's kind of
That
like, because that's
tracks.
when, yeah, that's kind of when your brain is like starting to develop and you have like context for the world around you, and you're learning like so much so fast in those first few years that like your brain has so much stuff to process that it's like, okay, here's reality, but what if it was not? What if it
Now
was
you've learned
bad?
fear.
Yeah. Pretty much. And yeah,
I
it's
mean, yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
and yeah, I was just trying to rationalize, like, maybe the dream that I had, and just maybe there was a scary dog that I saw. So like then I just had this weird nightmare about a hand turning into a dog or something. And then maybe you
Yeah.
had some bad experiences with spiders as when you were very small.
I don't know
But
because like I don't see like I don't have any memories of like being particularly. I've never been super
yeah,
scared of spiders, but
I've never really been scared of
having
dogs.
having a big thing fall into your bed, that is pretty scary.
Hmm. Yeah.
And when we'll talk about at least in one of the submissions, I feel like there's a couple like now that I'm listening to all of your dreams and mine together, and some of the submissions I was reading earlier, there's definitely like very clear categories of childhood dreams,
Oh.
or it's like some of them are like you know I'm trying to sleep and there's a thing scaring me. Some of
Hmm.
them are like there's a thing that I normally wouldn't be scared of because I'm
Hmm.
a child and there's not that many scary things in my life, but
Hmm.
it's chasing me or near me and or in my bed, and for whatever reason that's scary now.
Right.
um, and then there was a few dreams that we got that involved some sort of like labyrinth, being lost in a maze of you know
Oh.
hallways or rooms, and like scary things being in those hallways or rooms. You'll see, but it's interesting that I've never like maybe it's because we have so many in one episode, but it struck me how similar um,
Yeah.
some people's dreams were to each other.
It's weird that there's just like a few categories, really.
I mean, it kind of makes sense because it's like
Yeah.
I feel like when you are a kid and you haven't had a lot of experiences, maybe that also means like the amount of things that would scare you are fewer and less unique
Mm.
than when you're an adult and maybe you have some weird phobia,
Yeah.
you know?
That makes sense. Yeah.
I feel like it's probably safe to say that many children would all be scared of some sort of big scary monster in their bed.
Hmm. Or
Um,
or a big scary monster chasing them.
yeah, and so then that's like easy for
Yeah.
their brain to conceive of, probably,
Yeah.
because they've probably been chased by something,
Hmm.
I don't know.
I remember getting chased by bees as a kid.
I've also been
That was like
chased by bees.
that's like the scariest part of being a kid. Is when
I
a bee
yeah,
is chasing you.
I got chased by yellow jackets once and was
No.
ultimately stung, and it was
Oh
terrifying.
no.
To be
Mm.
fair, I did. Uh, I was the instigator.
Oh no.
I was trying to do a heroic deed by drowning a hornet nest in the ground,
Oh
and that it
no.
doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't. But I was like 5. I didn't understand. I just
Yeah.
thought they would get wet and not be able to fly.
Mm.
It doesn't work like that.
That's funny. They get wet and they drown. That's how
Yeah,
it
no.
works.
That's how it worked in my kid brain.
Yeah.
The same
I
kid
just
brain that dreamed about big spiders and unicorns.
mm. It's a little off topic, but I remember the first time I got stung by a hornet.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was it just like
I
flying
was
around, or did you?
no, it was weird. I was like at my cousin's house, and I just kind of like had my arm like on the cushion, like like on like the back cushion. Like
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
kind of had like my hand up there, and like I felt something like sharp stab me, and I thought it was like
It just came out of
every
there like no provocation.
yeah, but
Mean.
like it was like like I didn't even like it hurt a lot obviously, but in my head I was like, oh, it's like sometimes on like certain couches they'll just be like a weird sharp
Oh yeah,
piece of like a sharp fiber,
yeah, yeah.
like for whatever reason, like I just have a distinct memory being like, oh ow, like oh it was one of those, and then I like looked and there was like a wasp there, and I was like, oh my god, what? And I was like, Ben, I think I got stung by a bee.
Bonus
Oh
item for
man.
next week. Send us the
Yeah.
first time you remember getting stung by a bee.
Yeah, a little off
Episode
topic,
9,
but
the bee
it's okay.
episode.
I have a lot of weird memories from being a kid.
I
But
mean,
anyway. Oh.
I feel like childhood memories and dreams are kind of cousins in a way, because
Mhm.
our ability to remember childhood events is kind of fuzzy.
Bad.
Yeah,
Not good. Our memories are not good.
but anyway,
Shall we take some? Oh man, like it looks like we're on a stage right now, and there's a bunch of people with their hands raised.
I think like 6 of them.
I see 6 hands raised.
There's only 6 people in this whole stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
God,
it's more than usual.
someone sat so far up. It's like I can barely even see. How are we even gonna hear you? You're too far
Yeah.
away up there. Come closer to the mic. We'll do yours towards the end. Come closer to the mic.
Yeah, this is actually our first live show. We didn't tell anybody it was happening, but
Yeah.
6 people showed up to tell us their dreams.
Mm-hmm. Very
We don't
pumped
have a
because it was.
yeah.
I just decided it was a live show like like a minute ago, as we're
Well,
recording.
your ability to craft the space is impeccable, because I all of a sudden I can't see my desk anymore, and I'm just standing on
Oh
a
geez.
stage, which is kind of terrifying but exciting.
Cool.
We really
Sorry.
made it.
Yeah. So first we have a dream from Joshua, and Joshua says, "Hi Alice and Trent. This one isn't particularly interesting, but it's the earliest one I could recall. I had this one where I was about 5 or so. I was dropped into a dimly lit corridor with a bunch of other corridors branching off from it. It was a huge maze, and all the hallways looked a lot like the ones at my grandma's house. There would be pictures of myself and my relatives on walls at random intervals, along with some vases and a couple of flowers in each one. I was walking around until I came across a cross between a Christmas elf and a clown twice my size. I froze up until a cousin of mine defeated it with a slingshot. For some reason, instead of using it like you normally would, he jumped onto the monster and beat it up with the slingshot. He gave me one and told me to follow him. The rest of the dream saw me running around and beating up elf clowns with a slingshot alongside my cousin. Thank you for reading my dream. Your podcast is awesome, Joshua." Thank you, Joshua.
Thanks, Joshua, and don't undersell yourself. That was definitely
Yeah.
particularly interesting.
Yes. The
Also,
clown
like,
hybrids.
having a dream that early where you rise to the occasion and
Yeah.
beat up a cool guy That's awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, all mine were just being chased.
I feel like, yeah, a
Mm.
lot of mine too. I didn't understand that I could do something about it, so I think that's really cool.
Mm. Yeah.
Great
Thank you,
slingshot
Joshua.
technique.
Yes. Very good use of slingshot. 10 out of
hmm
10 dream.
I have one from Twisted Blast.
Oh.
Hey Trent, hey Alice. Did I mention last email that I love the podcast? Because I really do. It's great. I've listened to it before I go to sleep, but I've also found that it's really nice to listen to when I'm just trying to relax and take my mind off things. I can just turn on the podcast and think about dreams, which is pretty cool. Thanks, Twisted Blast. Anyways, I can remember a few dreams from when I was young, like under 10 years old, one of which is also the first dream I ever remember having. The first dream I ever remember having is unfortunately more like a nightmare than a dream. I remember the context to having that dream was that I had been playing a Flash game on the computer that day. It was a side scrolling game that when you lost all your lives or HP, instead of getting a game over, you were instead sent to a special dark and gloomy level where you had to defeat a large creature wielding a two-handed hammer in order to get back to the game. I assume it was meant to be the Grim Reaper or death or something. Whatever it was, it stuck to my childhood imagination because I played that game for way too long in one sitting, and then when I went to bed, I had a nightmare about it. I saw myself standing in a completely white space, no colors, no identifying landmarks or anything, kind of like the construct scene from The Matrix. I remember
Mm.
hearing a faint noise that grew louder and louder, like that of a hammer striking something. At first, I wasn't really able to move my head and look around, but when I did, I saw an approximation of the creature from the game moving towards me, the giant hammer it wielded smashing rhythmically against the ground. I started running, but everything around me was blank, and the creature was slowly closing the distance between us. At some point, I got tired of running, and not knowing what else to do, I turned to look at the creature. I closed my eyes, but I could still hear it approaching, so I tried, for the first and only time as far as I can remember, to wake myself from a dream. I told, or at least thought to myself, "Wake up!" and then reopened my eyes. To my horror, I was still in the dream, and the creature was now dangerously close. I shut my eyes again and repeated to myself, "Wake up!" And this time, when I opened my eyes, I saw the ceiling of my room and realized I was awake. The fact that I wasn't able to wake up with the first attempt really spooked me as a child, and I think that's why I still remember it, although my dreams have never again involved me trying to or failing to wake up from a dream. So my younger self had nothing to fear, I guess. Pretty spooky. I think that one falls into the creature chasing you category.
Yeah, definitely.
But really, yeah, interesting that you tried to wake up by thinking it to yourself. I remember as a kid trying to do the same thing where if I really wanted to wake up, I would try to close my eyes. Like that would like I don't know, like going to sleep in a dream would cancel it out or something.
I would
Sometimes
do
it
that
worked.
too. It would work for me. This weirdly reminded me of another dream I forgot about.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, just like the part about like closing your eyes and trying to like wake up doing that. Yeah, I guess I'll just say it. Why not?
yeah. No, I mean this is a
um,
special episode.
yeah. It it was just I was like sleeping at my cousin's house, the same one I got stung by the bee at, oddly enough. Um, but like I just remember like upstairs, like so there's like a staircase like going up, and then like a little like landing,
Mm-hmm.
like a little like square, and then like kind of another square to the left of that, and then there'd be like the bathroom door straight ahead, and then one bedroom on one side, one bedroom on the other side. I don't know if that makes any sense,
Yeah.
but I just remember being in like in one of the rooms again at nighttime, like I was sleeping in the dream, and then just like waking up and seeing like knowing that there was like a monster or a creature being like coming up the stairs, so it'd have to go around like two corners to get to me, kind of how I described. Um, but I just remember like knowing that it was coming up, and then just like seeing like a shadow, and then like it's like creepy like claw like starting to enter like the
Oh,
door. frame.
Oh no.
And then just like I remember like squeezing my eyes and waking up.
Huh.
like yeah.
Yeah. I it's funny.
So
I remember I don't remember like the context, but I remember a few times as a kid. This was before I kind of had started having more lucid dreams, or like having more dreams where I knew that I had the ability to be more in control of the situation.
mm.
Um, but one of the first things I figured out that I could do in dreams to have some level of control was wake myself up by trying to fall asleep in the dream, and somehow falling asleep in the dream would send me
Oh,
back, like kind of like a
interesting.
reverse, how falling asleep in a bed will make you dream, and then falling asleep in a dream will make you go to your bed, I guess.
Oh,
But it
I
worked a
guess
few
that makes sense.
times. I haven't done it in many many years because now my brain usually comes up with other solutions if there's something going on that I don't like. But I definitely have some memories of doing that to wake up.
Hmm, interesting.
Anyway, thank you, Twisted Blast, for
Yeah.
that dream.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for reminding me of a dream I thought I forgot.
Do you want to read the next one?
Sure. The next one comes from someone we know,
Yes.
from one Henry. Who's Henry?
Henry is my brother.
Ah, I know Henry.
Mm-hmm.
So Henry writes, I had a dream when I was a baby, probably 1 to 2 years old. I was in a crib, and one day during a nap, I thought my hedgehog plush in my crib was real, and I got very scared. Probably my earliest memory. That's all Henry writes.
I
Excellent.
I had can share
Do you
some.
remember
Yeah,
when he had
I
this
can share
dream?
some additional information because I do remember
Oh.
this. It was when he was still in a crib, so very little
Mm.
earlier than any dream I could remember. So that was definitely a baby dream,
Mm.
and maybe he would disagree. I don't know. I haven't talked to him about it, but my memory is that it was recurring at least a little bit. Um, and it was the same where he would wake up and say there was a hedgehog in his bed, and my
Did you say
parents
it
would
was
go into his
reoccurring?
room. Hmm?
Oh, whoa.
Yeah,
Weird.
no, I think it. I recall it happening more than once. My memory could be wrong because I was probably also very little at the time.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I do remember him waking up screaming, saying there was a hedgehog in his bed and crying, and my
Oh.
parents going in and saying, "There's no hedgehog in your bed," and they look through all his blankets, kind of like they look through mine for the spider, and then it would all be
Oh.
fine. Um, but yeah, we thought he was like scared of hedgehogs, but it was just
Oh.
that he had that stuffed animal.
Interesting.
And he wasn't like scared of it or anything, but it was just, yeah, that was the bad dream about it.
Just that it was coming alive.
Yeah, and then it was just like in his bed. So that's another sort of thing in or around my bed dream.
God, that's so weird.
Yeah,
They all follow like similar templates.
yeah. I don't know. I mean,
The
baby
the
brains.
human template store.
You go through different levels of complexity as your brain forms,
Hmm.
and once you get to a higher level, it can branch out so much. Our dreams can get super different.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, there are still some
Well,
things, and I think that probably just has to do with being we're all human.
mm,
But there are certain kinds of things that lots of people dream about enough to have it be a relatable trope, like having a dream where your teeth are falling out. A lot of people have that dream.
yeah.
Um, or like, a dream where you show up to school or work naked. That's like a,
Hmm.
common enough that it's a trope in like films and TV.
Hmm.
So I think no matter how wonky our dreams can get, there are these things that our brains are just naturally prone to thinking about.
Our default
And
human brains.
I think, when you're a baby, you're spending a lot of time in your bed,
Hmm.
and it makes sense for a dream to take place there because you are also spending a lot of time there.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
But I don't know. It's all
Yeah.
speculation. Thank you, Henry, for emailing us.
Yeah. Thank you, Henry.
I'm going to read a dream from Seth. Hi there, Alice and Trent. Loving the podcast so far. You can refer to me as Sep if you want. Or if you need to. Smiley face. I know it's not the first dream I've ever had, but it's the earliest one I can remember. I would say I was about 2 years old when I first had it. Now, I say first had it because I've actually had this same dream over and over again with slight variations, which is probably why it stuck with me. In the dream, I'm inside a tall cylindrical tower in the middle of the night. Inside of it is mostly black or dark gray, but everything has a reddish hue to it, as if red light is shining in through the windows. It is very scary. I always start the dream at the top of the tower, at the beginning of a wooden staircase, and I'm trying to get out of the tower. As I'm going down the stairs, I always fall from the same step through a huge crack on it. I always tried to be extra careful about this each time I had this dream, but I slipped through it on every one of them. After that, I'm at the very bottom of the tower, and suddenly it's a huge and complicated place down there. There's lots of hallways that connect to each other, and lots of rooms on each one of them. And worst of all, there's little demons and angels. What I mean by little is they're kid-sized, same as me at the time. They always drag me into rooms, but what they do later varies from dream to dream. Sometimes they tell me they'll let me out if I know the answer to their weird questions, which I was never able to get right. Sometimes they tell me the way out, but it's never actually the way out. Oh. And I'm still not sure about this, but I think the angels are just as evil as the demons, because they looked ugly and were scary. I've tried trusting the angels and not the demons, trusting both of them, trusting neither of them, etc., but was never able to get out. The thing that baffles me the most is at one point of my life, I stopped having this dream and sort of forgot about it, until I had it again one night last year, and I was terrified when I woke up. It was such a surreal moment. I was so surprised at how my brain was able to dig it up from my memory dump, since I'm pretty sure I hadn't thought about this dream in a long time. Sending lots of love and wishing you sweet dreams. That's from Seth.
Whoa.
So we have the maze.
Yes.
This one reminded me a lot of Joshua's dream because it had a labyrinth and it also had sort of bad guys throughout the labyrinth. Yeah. Although Seth wasn't defeating them. Mm-hmm. But very interesting, yeah.
Now I'm nervous that I'm gonna have a Barney dream.
That really threw me off. I have never had a childhood dream in my adulthood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess keep your head on a swivel tonight, Trent, when you're dreaming.
Oh, I will. I'm
for
ready.
Barney.
I'll confront him.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take my stand. Not this time.
It's gonna be different this time.
Yeah.
I'm Big Trent now.
It's so interesting from going back to this dream. It's so interesting that there's a difference between the angels and demons, but they're both still evil.
I mean, to be fair, biblical angels are very scary.
Yes.
And weird looking, so.
I mean, I like the designs.
But to a child?
But yeah. True.
That would be crazy if Sep was dreaming about biblically accurate angels at 2 years old.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Sep.
Yeah, thank you. Do you want to read the next dream from Willow?
Yes.
Great.
So Willow writes, "Hello, Alice and Trent. I hope it's not too late, but today I would like to tell you about the first dream that I can remember. Because of the content of the dream, I know almost exactly when I had it. On my first day of nursery, which is the UK equivalent of kindergarten, when I was just 3 years old. Okay, so the dream starts with my mom dropping me off at nursery for my first day. I don't want to be left here, but I am anyway. I then go into the classroom, only to find that there's no one there, but instead a giant black room-sized cube placed in the middle of the classroom. I go inside the cube, and it's lit with fancy blue neon lighting. And the floor is made of trampolines. My entire class was in there, including the teachers, and they all in unison said, 'You need to turn into a flamingo.' I replied, 'But I don't know how.' Then I blinked, and then they were all flamingos, and they all flew off into the black void of the cube. My mom then came to pick me up from nursery, and when she did, she said, "You must turn into a flamingo right now." I replied with the same response, that I have no idea how to do that. I then blinked, and she was a flamingo, and she flew off. I sat there for a moment, and then blinked and turned into a flamingo. Everything had a pink hue, and I was taller, and then I woke up seconds after transforming into a flamingo. Thank you for doing the podcast, by the way. It's super cozy, and I like to listen to it before bed, all nice and warm under a blanket and duvet. Sweet dreams, Willow. Thank you, Willow.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
You have to turn into a flamingo right now.
You have to. Do it.
Also, like, I feel like shape-shifting has been something I've been working on in dreams for like a while. Like, it takes a conscious effort, and you were just like doing it 3 years old, no problem. So cool.
Yeah. That's funny. That's a really good one.
Yeah, really amazing.
Thank you, Willow. And then do you want to do the last one?
Yeah, I got one more from Titan. They say, "Hey, star emoji." The earliest dream I remember having was from elementary school. I was at my school's playground on what was called the red structure. We had 2 play structures at our school, but we were only ever allowed to play on the red one. It was bright and sunny. No one else was there. It was just me, and I was chasing a tiny frog. The frog was transparent and had orange guts. That's about it. I didn't catch it or nothing, but it was cool. Thumbs up emoji. The color of the other play structure was blue, by the way, just in case you were wondering. Titan. Thank you. I love that.
Very good.
I feel like that
translucent frog.
that kind of falls into the similar category of my unicorn dream, where it's just sort of a cool moment. Nothing really happened, but I saw a cool animal.
Mm-hmm. Your brain's just like, here, check this out. This is
hey,
nice.
You want to see a cool frog? Here.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
These are all so cool.
I love it.
Yeah, thank you everybody who sent us in your childhood dreams. Yeah. They were so fun to read through.
Thank you all. They're all very fun, very unique. Unique, but also not.
Yeah, and strikingly similar, yeah.
Yeah. Unique, but also not.
Yeah.
Very good. And if you're listening to this and you're like, dang, I wish I submitted a dream. Well, you still can. You can always send us your dreams, even if they are baby dreams. We'll still read them. And you can send them to dreamteampodcastsubmissions@gmail.com.
Yeah, send us, it doesn't have to be a recent dream. It could be a baby dream. It could just be any dream you remember. Some people have emailed us being like, I haven't had any cool dreams lately. It can be from whenever. We're happy to hear any dream you've had any time in your life, or a dream your friend had, or your mom. Who knows? We just want to hear your dreams. So feel free to send us whatever. And you can also check out our Instagram at Dream Team with Alice and Trent to see visual aids and other fun little tidbits of information to go with each episode.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I don't. We've never really talked about this, but you can also find our podcast. I don't know where you're listening to it, but the podcast is on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So if you're listening to it on one of those and you're like, oh man, I wish it was on one of the other two, well, maybe it is. Right? I mean, it is.
Or maybe you have a friend who's like, I can't listen to that podcast. I don't use Spotify. You can be like, I got you. It's on YouTube and Apple Podcasts.
Yeah. You could put it on your TV on the YouTube.
Yeah, if you listen to the YouTube version, you can see our little faces floating around with dream bubbles as an extra touch.
Yeah. And inside those dream bubbles, one of the dreams we had in the episode.
Which one? I guess you'll just have to find out.
You'll just have to watch all of the episodes and find out.
And hey, no matter which platform you're listening to or watching our podcast on, feel free to leave a review or a comment. It really helps us, and we love hearing what you think.
Yeah.
And tell a friend. Tell all your friends.
Yes. Only the cool ones, though.
Only the ones who like talking about their dreams, I guess.
Well, actually, you can send it to all of your friends, even if they're not cool. But
The
yeah,
more
also, yeah,
the more listeners we have, the more cool dreams we'll have to share with all of you.
absolutely. And then I also just wanted to say thank you all for listening. We definitely have a good start to this podcast. We got a decent amount of listens already, and I really love it. I'm glad that it's doing pretty well.
Yeah, me too. It's been very I guess heartwarming. It makes me really happy
Yes,
every time we get an
it's good.
email and when we hear from people like Will over at Twisted Blast letting us know that, you know, they like to listen to the podcast when they sleep, and I just think that's just so
Yeah,
sweet. I'm
yeah.
really happy that we can provide a little bit of peace and happiness to your day.
Yeah, it's really surreal in a way because I remember a little aside. I remember the first podcast I really listened to was Welcome to Night Vale, and I remember like falling asleep listening to it. So it's funny that I am now the voice that some people may be falling asleep to.
I know, that's so wild. Do you
Yeah.
remember we used to listen to it together on the couch
Yes.
whenever there was a
Yes.
new episode. That was also like my first podcast.
Whoa.
And I remember how like happy it made me. So it's cool to
Hmm.
spread that joy to people.
Absolutely. And I think that's about it for this week, right?
Yep.
For this
Until
episode.
next time, we hope that you sleep well and that you have good dreams where no one is chasing you or hanging over your bed or leading you through some sort of weird labyrinth.
Or making you turn into a flamingo.
Yeah. We wish you the sweetest of dreams and hope you have a good night.
Dreams with unicorns and translucent frogs.
Yeah.
Sweet dreams, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.